Ariel Helwani in Los Angeles for UFC on Fox number 4 alongside Jorge Guimaraes, the manager for the likes of Lyoto Machida, Anderson Silva, the Nogueira brothers, so many great Brazilian fighters. And George, thank you very much for the time. Good to see you. First, let's talk about Lyoto Machida. How is he looking? How is he feeling? This is his first fight since losing to John Jones in December.
Exactly. Well, Lyoto's always mentally, very strong, technically as well. Now he's training at Black House in Los Angeles. He just bought a house like 2 months ago. So, he trained, a lot with Roger Grace along with other members of the team. And, he's good to go.
Dana White first said that the winner of the Vera Shogun fight would get a title shot. Then the fans were unhappy, so he said the winner or the guy who looks most impressive in the co-main event or main event will get a title shot. Lyoto is coming off a loss to John Jones. Do you really think, even if he looks impressive, that he will get another shot at him so soon?
Well, I think so. And Lyoto wasn't convinced with his loss. We have a lot of respect for John Jones, but Lyoto, those are his words, He's not convinced and he wants another title shot.
And plus, you could say that Lyoto actually fought John Jones the best of those 4 guys. He actually arguably won a round against him.
Oh, yeah, of course. And, it happens, with those 4 ounces gloves, you get caught and that was it, That was the end of it.
Well, you have been very much in the news as of late, so let's get down to the bottom of it. You don't like being in the news? I thought you did.
Well, no, I'm behind the scene kind of guy.
They call this man the most interesting man in the world, and it's in fact true. So, George, let's talk about Anderson Silva. Very much in the news. Everyone wants to know what's next for him. Belcher and Vitor Belfort, they're booked for Brazil, so that's not going to happen. A lot of people gaining support for Chris Weidman. You came out, at least there were quotes attributed to you that said that you were calling some of these guys amateur fighters. Did you in fact say that?
Well, there was a little lack of communication, because I spoke to Tatami, magazine in Brazil, and it got lost in translation. I have a lot of respect for Weidman. He's a great fighter, but what I meant is that the fight doesn't make sense. He has like 9 fights. Impressive fights. But it's half of what Anderson, the number of fights that Anderson has in the UFC, So, I think it's just a little, not ripe enough. But it's up to the organization to, to tell who is a good opponent for Anderson. I think it would be hard to promote. Now everyone is like coming out like, after what they saw, like Chael Sonnen did an excellent job, promoting, himself and the fight, and I guess a lot of people are coming forward, obviously everyone wants a title shot,
Has the UFC asked you or Anderson to fight Chris Weidman next?
Well, they kind of, they mentioned it, but, we don't think it makes sense,
So you've turned it down?
Yeah, true.
So now you are saying in the media, and correct me if I'm wrong, the fight that makes most sense is George St. Pierre.
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
But George St. Pierre is supposed to fight in November, and then who knows if he's healthy, if he wins. That could be a long time until we see Anderson again.
True, that's true. We'll see what happens, but, it would be very interesting. It's a fight that, they've been talking about Rashad, coming down 185. It's another fight that it's easier to promote. But again, it's up to the UFC to, see what's best for the organization,
So you're more interested in Rashad as a middleweight than, say, a Chris Weidman as a middleweight fighting for the title?
Yeah. I think it's a bigger fight.
Does that mean that Anderson is prepared to sit out the rest of the year until George St. Pierre, another interesting fight, comes along?
Yeah, he's not in a hurry. He's very healthy. I just left Black House and he was like training. Anderson trains like 365 days a year. So he's very healthy, but he's not in any rush to fight.
So you don't think we'll see him fight again this year?
Most likely not. Maybe in the beginning of next year. We'll see what happens. Between GSP and
John Jones?
No, John Jones. No.
Weidman?
He's going to be fighting Condit.
Oh, Condit. Yes. Okay. I thought you meant other. How about that? What's a better chance of happening? John Jones versus Anderson or GSP versus Anderson?
Well, I think John Jones is out of the question. Either one of those fighters have, shown interest in fighting each other. They both have a lot to lose, and I think that's out of the question.
Where do you think the fight with GSP would take place? Like a catchweight? Would GSP have to move up? What do you think?
Well, I think a catchweight would be the best bet. I think Anderson. I don't think Anderson can fight at 170. Right. But at a catchweight, maybe 180, who knows? You know, I think he'll be able to make 180.
And, late last week, Nick Diaz's camp came out and said they'd like to fight Anderson. What do you think of that fight?
Well, you know, I mean, Nick Diaz is, you know, is a very tough fighter. I mean, you know, like I personally thought he won, you know, the last fight against Condit, you know, but you know, he's coming off a loss, you know, so it's not going to happen.
So right now, Anderson's sitting, waiting. But Chris Weidman, no way, you guys aren't interested. Is there anything they could do?
Well, Chris Weidman, you know, seriously, I'm a big fan. I mean, he looked very, very impressive. I mean, he's a great fighter, you know, he's a very well-rounded fighter. Of course, it would be a great fight, but, you know, very hard to promote, I believe.
So you'd like to see him maybe win a few more times and then fight Anderson?
Of course, of course.
Is there anything they could do right now to convince you to take the fight right now?
Well, I mean, you know, not really, you know. I mean, you know, again, you know, he's a great fighter. You know, I mean, he's about, you know, ready for a title shot, but I think he's not ripe enough, you know. I mean, just to promote the fight, you know. I mean, he's a great fighter.
Okay, final thing. Antonio Rodrigo Nogueira, he pulled out of a fight. How is he feeling? When do you think we'll see him again?
He's ready. He's ready. It's up to the UFC. We already approached Joe Silva. You know, he wants to fight in October, you know, but it's you know, I mean, we have like Vitor Belfort against Alan Belcher. We have Jose Aldo. So, you know, it's becoming, you know, kind of a rampage against Glover Teixeira. So it's kind of expensive to have Rodrigo on that card. But, you know, we're still trying, though. You know, he's ready to go. He's good to go.
Thank you so much for the time and good luck to you, George.
Talking to you, buddy.